filter in.
Alright.
Yep.
I've put a little kind of like thing on it that I've got like a pinned message that says we are recording the podcast live, Q&A at the end. Right, so that's gone live. Good. I'm going to put out a tweet and spielens. And I should really have that as the pinned comment with the show notes as well. And have that as the pinned message. What? I can only have 586 characters. Well, that's a load of ass. That's stupid. And if I just put like... Is it not going to let me kind of like put that in a presentable way? Well, that's just stupid, isn't it? That's annoying. If I can just copy and paste that in 2 segments. No, maybe I can edit my... Can I edit my own... Well, that's just, again, that's just bloody stupid. I can edit my kind of like pinned message to say, check out the description. Maybe I could put that. By the way, hello everybody. What me and Dan are doing is going to be doing like we did... Did we do it last month?
We did.
Yeah. So we are Smoother Nose podcast live? Question mark? Yeah. Yeah, we are. So if you want to check out the description, I can edit it. I can unpin the message, and then no, I can't. Not to me, I can't. So if I put podcast recording live, check description. Check description. Hello, everybody. I can't spell. Description. There we go. So at least if I put that and then put that as a pinned message. Excellent. So if anybody doesn't know, if you just joined us, what is going to be happening is me and Dan are going to be recording the podcast live. Occasionally we'll do this. We have a really kind of like cool coverage and running order of things. There will be a Q&A at the end. But this is going to be then kind of like turned into a video, and then it will be put out later on today, if not tomorrow, and on SoundCloud and all the major things that we put out. And I'm just waiting for my game to load in. Got a few kind of things. We got a really kind of nice show to kind of cover. There's a lot of stuff we've got to deep dive. From Alliance Wars, 7-year narrative video, Shindig video, trading store, gold boost, and then we're going to talk Hawkeye episode 3. But we'll kind of like stuff. When will Rich get manscaped? That's been done. That was done earlier. Not today, but you know, this month. The video is. Also, I think we're going to be signing a new deal with Manscaped going into 2022, which is amazing.
That is good news.
It is, yeah.
You must be driving some traffic for those guys. That's great.
Yeah,
that's what you want.
Absolutely. I think it's one of these things where I like the product. I've always wanted to work with them. I like the product. Even more so when they kind of innovate. Like when they did the cologne, I was like, that's great. I'm glad you did that, because I like having something that's by my desk. You know, just a little bottle of something. It's not like a huge bottle, just like a little bottle of something that you can just like, you know, you just have by your desk and you just grab it. The same thing, like I'm also like a sucker for things like, you know, when you got like tags and you want to like cut them off, and it's like they've got the Shears 2.0 set, which is like a little tweezers. By the way, this is not a Manscaped sponsored thing. I actually like the product. So it's good when it's like a product you like. And you got like little scissors so you can cut off tags and stuff, and tweezers if stuff goes down, like gets lodged into the computer and stuff, or like in places. So it's like, I don't know, it's good. Anyway, right, moving on. Right, so we are going to be doing the podcast. We have a show to do. You can find all the info of what we're going to be covering on the show in the description. So check the description and you'll see what we're going to be covering in the show. So, like, I've just clicked it now. and you'll be able to see it. Like, you know, it's that. That's the show. So we're going to be recording the podcast live in a moment, which will be turned into a video later on, and then we'll do a Q&A with the live chat. We're talking about Alliance War Seasons, 7-year narrative video, Shindig video, trade install, and the gold boost incident. And then we're talking about Hawkeye episode 3. So we'll give you plenty forewarning about that coverage of that. And as this kind of like stream will be a live thing, I will be flicking between different things. So I'll be clicking between my button to kind of like showcase, well, the roadmap video, the Shindig video, things that are on the forums, like Kabam Mika said, and stuff like that. So that really kind of like lets you know what's going to be going on. Does anybody in the chat have any questions about that? Do you not understand what's going to be happening in the show? If you don't speak now, it will forever hold your peace. Thanks, Ghost Dog. Realm of Champions? I don't know. Like me and Dan, but do we play that much?
I have checked it out briefly on the new update, but this month has been so crazy.
Yeah.
So I haven't. I mean, I know they added the Forest Guardians, and I like the art, but I haven't gotten to acquire the champion yet. So
No,
I can't really share too much because I have been working so crazy and trying to keep up on the endless MCOC news. It's like
yeah.
Well, we'll get into it when we. This was a week.
Yeah, definitely.
This was a week, and yes, we do need snacks.
Yeah, we do. I just saw that. I was like, yeah, we do. Oh, the trading. Oh, Manuel, that's going to be the 24th of December. You should talk about not so much gold boost. That's on the show list, but it's sort of sorted. Any case.
Oh, don't worry. We have thoughts on that gold boost.
Yeah. And Quicksilver should come. Right. That's the kind of the pre-show, the build-up. If new people come into the chat, mods, if you could point them in the direction of the pinned message or the description, just to let them know what's going on. So we're just going to be recording the podcast live, and I'm hoping my throat kind of like... It should be fine for recording for an hour. It's not as bad as it was, but it's definitely not in an ideal place. So, let's get on with my notes of the intro. Right, let's do the lead-in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Contest Round Podcast, episode 80. Yes, we've got to a round number of 80, which is an impressive number. We are indeed focusing on trying to get to number 100, which hopefully we'll have Metal Sonic Dude back for that episode, but we'll have to see what happens with that. In any case, what a week it's been. An absolutely crazy time for this game. The good, the bad, and definitely the ugly. So if you don't know already, we're available on YouTube, which we are doing a special live edition right now, live recording, SoundCloud, Spotify, and iTunes podcasts. All will be available in the bios when the videos and sound recording have been put out. And as always, I'm joined by my glamorous co-host, Mr. Dan of Frontline MCOC, who you can find on www.frontlinemcoc.home.blog and on Twitter on the handle @FrontlineMCOC. Dan, what a week!
Oh my goodness, this was an exhausting week. Always a busy time in December with lots of stuff going on in the game. It's just very weird watching this time delayed because you're like shaking your finger at me through the computer screen while we're talking, which is of course time delayed. But yeah, it was quite a week. These are always busy times in MCOC. But yeah, I would say I am as emotionally exhausted as I've ever been covering this game.
Yeah.
With the last week. The last week hurt, man. The last week was a lot.
It was late nights. It was late nights in coverage.
It was late nights. It was twists and turns, a roller coaster of emotions. There were reversals and changes, and my goodness, we just want a little consistency and reliability. and some more gold in our pockets. And
Yeah, and
we're working our way to those things. But let's start off with the first thing that kind of went wrong in the last week, and that was with Alliance War season 30 ending early when High Ground decided to make a universal appearance on the higher maps in the first war after the update. And I don't play at the tier war where
yeah.
that happens, but from what I understand, like it wasn't obvious High Ground was active until you got into the fights.
Yeah.
So, oh boy, I mean that is not a surprise you want.
No, I mean, this is one of the reasons I don't do Alliance Wars, and I feel like I'm in, I'm washing my hands of any kind of like, let's say, scuff that can come my way, which in some ways is, well, good in some ways that like the season ended early, but the biggest problem is when seasons end early, the implications that it causes as a result, if there is any scuff, because then there was further scuff to that scuff, which was like, they said that Alliance Wars 10 wouldn't count. It ended up counting. And now we're in the realms of people need to leave alliances for gifting. But at the same time, like there's also the other issue that compensation for rewards have to follow players after. So it's just a whole host of scuff.
Right. So, I mean, we sort of watch this thing play out in real time. We've got the High Ground issue. They cancel the war, and then of course the questions is like, well, they didn't cancel the war. They said the results wouldn't count, but the war would be played through. The war was not canceled, and of course, if you lose a war, your war rating goes down, which is very bad. So a lot of the players are like, wait, so we can't afford to lose war rating in our multiplier because that's going to affect us for the rest of the season. So we got to play this war with High Ground, even if it doesn't count. So that's when a few hours later they're like, all right, we got to cancel this whole season because we can't unwind things. And then we got all excited because we're like, all right, if they get rewards out in the next couple days, everyone can move before gifting and everything's fine and everyone will be able to start gifting off fresh. And that apparently couldn't happen, which, okay, that's annoying, but not, originally that was the schedule anyway. But the real kicker here was that they were going to manually subtract the scores from that war. So, even though we got the score from 10 wars, they were going to roll it back to 9, but they didn't roll the whole thing back. There was, I don't know whether it was the multiplier that didn't get picked up, but only part of the scores were removed. So at the higher levels, those scores matter, and people ended up in the wrong brackets, which was more prevalent up at the very top, in the master and platinum level. So as we put in the show notes, just a double L. Like there was just, it was brutal. It's you have a problem, you have to cancel the war, you take an extra long time to make sure you fix it right as far as the scores, and then the scores don't get fixed correctly, and it's just one of those like who's like it just brings into questions about the systems in place and like who double check that. Because it took 5 or 6 days for this to happen. So it's not like this was like, we got to get this done in an hour and a mistake was made. Like they took a while with this.
I think at times we look at maybe the team. I think it's who am I to kind of comment on the team and the structure of Kabam, but it's like who is responsible for are people responsible for one specific area of the game? Is it a case where like from a game design or engineering perspective, there's multiple people in control of different things? Because you kind of think if there's one person that's kind of in control of like the competitive area of the game, like the quest designers, just do quest, and the PvP.
Yeah, and the champion designers, they're just designing, and we know like Kabam John has been leading a lot of the buff stuff. Yeah,
so it's like I never kind of like know anybody, even from like being in the CCP, one specific person that is in not control, but is in charge of this element, or kind of understands if something were to go askew or something that they would know about if it went wrong, so they could go, right, okay, look, this is how we've got to handle this, and tell the people that would be able to handle it in a certain way. So that's always the downside, isn't it? Like, the quick response, who would be in charge of dealing with that quick response? Kind of getting the exact result out. Because, like, you know, in some ways I do feel sorry for Kabam Mike, because he's the go-between. So if somebody in the, like, the various different teams messes up, it's like, well, the community give him the flack.
Yes.
And it's like, well, it's not technically his fault per se.
Yeah, I mean, this was not. Yeah, I mean, this one in particular, not Mike's mistake. It just brings into questions of, like, all right, yeah, you've got someone that's going to be leading certain, you know, a certain game mode, a certain department. It's like, well, who's the backstop? Who, you know, who can proofread what you're doing? Who can you say, like, hey, just I need you to double check this, you know, does this make sense? Did I miss anything? And, you know, we've seen time and again, especially in the last few months, right, with certain bugs or champions being released with seemingly more and more bugs and issues that need to be patched up. It just doesn't seem like the checks and balance system is working for them right now.
No, not at all. And, you know, we've talked about this in the past, and I don't think Kabam would ever kind of openly go like, hey, by the way, we are short-staffed, because, you know, not many companies would go, honestly, we're short-staffed. But like, when I've seen, like, the careers opportunities, which I kind of always seem to go back to with when I'm doing MCN, it always seems like there's a large chunk of staff coverage, not in, like, all the areas, like key areas like game design, game engineers or whatever, but there's definitely, like, some very key areas. And we
know quite a few people who have left. I mean, we know Broccoli left. We know Frenchie left a while ago. We know Kabam Spinks left. Now, she was more on the social side of things, but even there, like, they have not been as active on social media since she left.
No, and that element of
you know, we know Kabam Boo and Mike are still there from the community team.
Yeah.
But, like, we've definitely seen some important people who are out there in the community leave.
Yeah.
And so it's, you know, I mean, you know, again, this is speculation from us, but it feels like they're understaffed, and it feels like there's a communication issue going on there that's leading to some of this stuff. And you know, not to jump ahead, but I mean, you know, that gold boost was an enormous communication issue.
Yeah, but
this, you know, we'll get to that.
This is something, as we talk about communication, I think it's a good point. Like, I feel that we've kind of regressed a bit when it comes to, like, the active communication, because I think when they said back at the start of the year, it was like, we're going to communicate. And we started seeing loads of those little in-game messages popping up when anything went wrong. And it's like, I kind of feel over the last 4 months, it's got, like, very quiet. I mean, look at the way the Venom Pool boss incident. That was that was as soon as that became a problem, that wasn't correctly communicated out when that was an issue. And the Deadpool X-Force you know, variant 8 thing, and that cost players, and the compensation packages didn't really match up against, you know, if you don't access the forums, if you don't watch YouTube and MCOC YouTube in particular, then you would probably be going against that Deadpool X-Force fight going like, what the hell's going, why is he getting an SP3? It says he's not able to get an SP3, it just wasted revives. What's this all about? But the time to just kind of go like, okay, can we quickly ping in-game message? It's just like, that would save people hassle and also resources. But
and you know, you don't have to worry about the 90% of the players who don't venture into the forums.
Yeah, exactly.
Either. Yeah, I mean, it feels like a bandwidth issue. Because they did, you know, following the 2020 roadmaps, I felt like they really pushed for more communication, both in the CCP, just in general, you know, in more in-game messages, especially when stuff just came up. And when that kind of stuff drops off, like, that just tells me there's time constraints. Like, they just don't, you know, I don't think that's a lack of will or intentionally trying to communicate less. It just feels like they can't. So
Yeah, and that's the thing about looking at.
it's tough.
We're 7 years down the line, and we're looking at technology. I want to make this like a subject of like a future podcast, but the idea of going like, look, we're 7 years down the line. You got games, mobile games that are coming out that are able to quickly go ping a message out to players about stuff, and we're 7 years down the rabbit hole, and we're kind of like. We're desperately asking for mastery switches where other games have they've started off their release with those type of elements in, even
yeah, and all that ties into them rebuilding the game engine on the fly, which has clearly pulled away from a lot of the new stuff we were hoping to see in the game.
Yeah, and that's just the issue, isn't it? You lose time, right? That's the other thing. But it's like, well, they've got, I think, 2022, and they're like, I do like a bit of positivity and kind of hope and moving forward. But it's a case of like, do better in 2022, or find a way to keep to start being consistent and be consistently better. I think it's just going to be the thing for year 8.
Yep, that is the hope. Well, even with with the war cancellation, we're getting an extended off season, which I do love, and I think this is very nice because instead of starting the war season on December 22nd, which would have meant wars going into Christmas Eve and on Christmas Day, they are instead backing it up another 2 weeks to start after the holidays on January 5th. I think that's a win for everybody.
Yeah.
Because it allows them to be, back and staffed up and not starting a war with attacker bans.
Yeah.
In season, like, a couple days before Christmas and maybe having to deal with an issue shorthanded. I just think that is player positive. It's the right thing for them. It's like, it's the same thing. It's like, don't start new AQ seasons over the weekend.
Yeah.
That's bad. Don't start new Alliance War seasons with new tech going into the Christmas break. I think that's good. I am curious to see how the attacker bans thing plays out. Apparently that was already bugged for the first war.
Yeah.
So where you could drag in a banned attacker from the synergy screen. So I mean, clearly they're gonna close that loophole, and it's good that something like that's getting taken care of in the off season. But it just goes to show you how how dangerous some of this new stuff can be, and you definitely don't want it going live in season.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still like on the fence with it because I'm just like, well, this is solo competitive mode. But it's now it's Alliance Wars competitive mode.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's it's one thing at like the tier 1 where those folks really want a lot of challenge, and they have officers that are willing to spend hours figuring these things out.
Yeah,
and can coach you up, where you don't have that at some of the few levels down. Like, I don't think the tier 4, tier 5 officers, for the most part, are putting in that amount of work, and the rosters are a little bit more limited, the skills a little more limited, but I really think it's the coaching, and it's like, okay, if you take my Human Torch away, how do I kill this Mojo?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, how do I? I would probably be in big trouble.
Yeah. I look, at the end of the day, they can, if that's what Alliance Wars is going to be, to like spice it up, then if that's going to be every season to find like something a little extra to spice it up, to turn it into the game mode that they want, it's like, well, like now you've had 30 attempts to kind of make it to a point of where it is, but it's still not something that after a while it just doesn't interest me at all.
I hear you, Rich. It it's, for me, it's been a dead game mode personally for a long time, and it really feels impossible to fix because the needs of the players are so different at the different levels. The tier 1, tier 2 folks want something drastically different than the folks below them, and you have a system that lower down the tiers where you've got people like us who aren't really trying.
But
because I'm in like tier 13 war.
Yeah.
right now. So like, I can place, I'm placing a rank 3 Apocalypse on the first mini, and a Sig 200 Mojo as the boss, and you've got players with like 200, 300K accounts,
Yeah.
like at that tier, that are trying really hard. And then they run into, like, you've got 10 million alliances running into 30 mil alliances because the 30 mils aren't trying.
Yeah.
And there's no way to separate those people that want to try from those that don't.
Yeah, that's the other side of it. That's is very important, because how do lowers look for advancement if they're, again, felt the pain of the kind of like burnt out, but kind of,
I would say burnout.
Yeah.
Frustration.
Yeah, the burnt out people that have accomplished stuff within the game. Again, we talk about this idea of like, well, we've both done nearly 7 years, so it's like, well, our roster's going to be more further developed and have broad coverage. So if someone goes, okay, well, I don't know, put your Mojo on that one there, and that's going to be an absolute pain in the butt. The same way we've put in, like, okay, well, we'll put like a rank 3 6-star Killmonger there. We'll put that and stuff that maybe the players haven't kind of like not interacted with, but kind of not developed some counters for.
Developed the roster, and it's just, there's such a wide variety of what can occur in matchmaking lower down, right? Especially if you're doing reduced battle groups, and you say you're in that 10 million alliance. One day you match with an 8 million, and one day you match with a 30 million. And like, how are you supposed to plan for that? And you think about the items and the social pressure that war puts on an alliance. Like, that's just not fun for me anymore.
Exactly, yeah.
So, I personally, I wish they'd do away with it. I understand why they haven't. But it's, I don't know. Let's move
on to something positive, shall we?
Yeah, let's talk about the one like really exciting thing this week that I felt like was a clear win, and that was the narrative video. Galactus, he has taken the long road.
Yeah.
To get to the battle realm. He's been traveling since late 2019 to break through the walls of reality and enter the battle realm. But he's finally here. We got a full year's worth of teases.
God, yeah.
And the most exciting thing for me was getting back to MCU monthly events and tie-ins.
Yeah.
And we were guaranteed quite a bit of that now. And that for me is the big win when we're talking about Doctor Strange and the upcoming Thor movie and the upcoming Black Panther movie. Movie tie-ins are huge for bringing in new players. They're exciting for old players. We want to play those characters that we've seen on the big screen. We haven't gotten that for a long time because of the shifting schedule. So for me, that was the number one takeaway, is we're getting these MCU tie-ins back.
Yeah, it's great to kind of like feel that we could be getting. I can't remember what the name of the character is. I've got it next week. I've got to get back to kind of like, now I'm going to feel well again. Is kind of do prediction things like the something, the Butcher, whatever it is, from the character that Christian Bale's going to be playing in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh yeah, he's the villain.
Yeah,
I think I'm trying to remember how to pronounce that. It's a. I'm not huge on Thor's rogue gallery. But I will. I want to look that up.
But yeah, like loads of characters, loads of new ones. I mean, we've already got like 2 teases, which we're going to talk about in a minute. More Spider-Verse, Spider-Man type characters, or kind of a Spider-Verse type, I don't know, tie-in event. But on the Wakanda Forever, so that's gonna be. The thing is with Kabam is like they will still build these quests regardless if the film, like, not rights, but if they're not able to build a champion from a visual perspective similar to the film, they'll still build the quest. I think that's why they did Eternals in any case, but they may have had to go on, if they weren't cleared or the date didn't tie in, they might have to go with the like classic versions of stuff. But then you've got like Guardians of the Galaxy, which is the holiday event.
Yeah, maybe a little callback to Rocket Scrapyard from forever
Oh,
ago,
I love
which
that.
was that people still talk about that event.
Yeah,
That
I
was
fondly
that was
talk
a
about it.
very popular one. So, do you have any predictions as far as the MCU champs
Um,
that'll be entering the game?
no, apart from the butcher, I think we'll get that one, and
I'm wondering whether that month we'll see either movie Jane Foster or a Jane Foster buff.
that's a very good point, isn't it? Because the thing is, like, I think
I
these
feel like
some.
we've got to get one or the other.
Yeah, I saw the poster art I think today, or the rumored poster art, and it does look more like the character we already have in game. So it's like,
It looks
well,
a lot like her.
yeah. So I'm like,
Yes.
is it gonna? I think with Multiverse of Madness, if Kabam don't put Wong in, it's kind of missing a trick. A lot.
I will be very disappointed if we don't get Wong.
Yeah,
For multi, especially since Wong has basically become Phase 4 Phil Coulson and he's popping up everywhere.
yeah, and people love
Like,
it
just
as
give
well.
Wong his day.
Yeah, I'm sure players would
Give
love
Wong
to
his
play as
day.
Wong. Yeah,
I kind of want, I kind of want the Jane Foster buff so that they can also add Valkyrie.
yeah, that
I
would be a
think
good
that'd
shout.
be like the best outcome, especially if the Jane Foster costume is essentially the same as the one we've already got. And Jane Foster actually has a pretty cool kit in game. She can do some neat things. She needs she needs a little bit more. She needs some damage spike.
Yeah.
But she doesn't need a from the ground up rework. So yeah, that would be cool. More Spider-Man stuff. Hopefully some more classic villains. Will this be the year we finally get Sandman? Fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a case. There was a silhouette tease, and I know some people said like, "Oh, this is Sandman to the left." I don't know. I kind of feel like it could be some red herrings. There's some really kind of like.
Oh, I'm sure there are. There always are.
The thing is, at times I'm not sure if I 100% trust Kabam to be the characters that players think they're going to be, because the silhouette sometimes will be like, well, if Kabam put like a big tail with a character, they're like, well, that's probably going to be Scorpion if it's a Scorpion's tail, and it's like with like the other silhouettes, like, well, if it's got like a couple of big spikes, and you're like, okay, well, that must be that one. But with this, I don't know. Like, I feel Kabam might want to throw some red herrings. I kind of look at the right one, which is the female silhouette, and go, oh, could this be like Yelena Belova? Could this be like Black Cat? Could this be like, I don't know. But in the left, like, it could be Sandman. But it's all red herrings. Could be.
Yeah, it's all up in the air. And then I think for the Wakanda Forever, Shuri seems to be the most likely candidate.
Yeah.
And that could be interesting. I don't know who the villain is in that movie.
No, the biggest problem with like them going, oh, if they do Shuri, we just had. And the thing is, I don't know if Kabam have abandoned the idea of merging cross promotion between Realm of Champions and
that is
Marvel
a good
Contest
point,
Champions.
because they did not tease a Realm crossover.
No.
No.
And I think that's the point of going like, look, I think it's fine for both those games to as much as I think it's good to kind of go like, okay, well, let's kind of like cross promote. The point now is that they've both separated off. They've had some strands that were kind of linking both games, and I feel those strands are now just like popping off as both games kind of slide apart from one another. And
yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this before in very early times when both games were out, that they didn't really do anything to overly showcase a need to go in Realm. Like, if they said, okay, well, if you go into Realm and you grind to X position, you would get X amount of units and get like, cross bonuses between both like Kabam accounts. And like, by playing Marvel Realm of Champions, it gives you stuff in Marvel Contest. Play Marvel Contest, it gives you stuff in Marvel Realm. And I kind of feel like they massively missed a trick with doing that to show interest, give an incentive. And I kind of feel now at a point just going, they're both separate, and it's just like, it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's I think it was that. I think the gameplay is just too different, and people that like one game aren't gonna like the other, and they didn't want to force it. I think they realized quickly quickly from the reaction of the MCOC community that there just wasn't going to be the synergy that they hoped for.
Yeah.
As much as Gabe would have loved that from a narrative sense. And I still think the Realm story is amazing. And I wish that it was a comic book, because I would read it. It would be an amazing graphic novel. There's a great story there. It's just, the game for whatever reason just, didn't really land. And I don't know, doesn't feel like it services the great story as well as the story in MCOC gets serviced through the game.
Yeah.
So I think one other thing I was picking up on from the narrative video, if you've seen, if you kind of dug into the lore of the game, the Battle Realm is not just one area. It's sort of like all these different countries or whatever you call them within the Battle Realm. Some are explored, some are known, some are not. And it seems like Galactus is going to try to eat, for lack of a better word, different areas of the Battle Realm. Like, he's not just attacking the Battle Realm as a whole. He's having his meal in different places. So, like, I think we got to break out our map of the Battle Realm and see what he's going after. So, that part is very interesting to me. Is sort of like, who's Galactus going to be picking on? What are we going to do to stop him? Is this going to tie in with anything that, like, we were hoping, like raid bosses? I don't know. It's interesting. We did get a second video, and this one was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like this one.
The Shindig of Champions. First off, whoever's voicing Hercules is having the most fun.
Yeah, exactly.
That he's all in. Great script. Karina's great too, but the Herc guy, he's been having just the most fun. And as an X-Man fan, the fact that we're getting, it looks like 2 of the first 3 months of 2022 are going to be X-Men related, and January is apparently going to be a Brotherhood of Evil Mutants month.
Yeah.
With 2 classic X-Men villains, Toad and Sauron, and I am super excited about both of them, but particularly Sauron, because he's a pterodactyl.
Yeah, exactly.
And we don't have one of those, and that's just awesome.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Toad. I'm glad that they've gone for a more kind of modern take, because it's some of the classic looks.
Yeah, the classic versions where he's just. Yeah, I mean, he's just kind of ugly.
Yeah.
Whereas like the X-Men Evolution version, where he's just a lot more Toad-like.
Yeah.
I think that's a much cooler visual.
Yeah, and even with
that, I'm excited about. Toad is obviously a mutant. Sauron, we've been arguing on Twitter as to whether he will be mystic, science, or mutant.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be mutant, but I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Oh, tough one. Something that I should really kind of like save kind of deep dive for a video. There's always that argument of like, when Kabam feel like the point of his entry, like saying like, here's some other examples of ones where they take the character at the point of either the sign.
Kraven's a perfect example.
That is, yeah.
Because it looks like we've got original Kraven as a skill, as a hunter, versus the mystically enhanced, resurrected version of the champion, right? Like, one's a mystic, one's a skill. We have the skill version.
Yeah.
We could go in a couple directions there, and it depends what they want to do for the kit, because mutants are the tricky one, right? Because mutants are the one class that kind of can do everything, because mutants' powers are all over the place. But like Sauron, he can hypnotize people, and he's an energy drainer. He's one of those that, like, the closer around him you are, and if he's touching you, the weaker you get. Now, you could argue that sounds like a science kit, where it's like, oh, he's going to place a lot of debuffs on the opponent and make them very weak. Or it's kind of like a nullification aura. Like, who's that? Is that Sorcerer Supreme who has that? Where
Yeah.
close to her, she can nullify your buffs. Like,
Yeah, I think
that's
between
kind of a
sorcerer and
Mystic thing.
symbiote super. Yeah, exactly. Like I think the good thing would be to have a mutant champion that's able to expand her stuff. Like I'm just trying to think of some other examples of, because you associate like mystics with staggering power control and
Right. Taking buffs away.
taking
Yeah.
buffs away.
Exactly.
And then it's like science is it's gone very petrified driven, poison immunity, and I'm just trying to think of some of the other ones. Sort of degen interaction ish.
Yeah. Just I think spamming debuffs.
Spamming debuffs.
That's what if you think about the Mr. Fantastics, Power Sting becomes a big one. We've seen that a lot more with Yellow Jacket and Spider Ham,
Yeah.
and Mr. Fantastic again. But yeah, I just think debuffs, exhaustion, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Where skill is very purify heavy, very bleed heavy. The mutants are all over the place. The techs are all about armor break, utility, a lot of power control, and the cosmics. Those are they're going to have a lot of buffs.
Yeah. So I guess it's
and
like
have these big damage spikes.
it's handy to have like mutants and mutants that have various different types of abilities and things that they can do would be kind of like a great thing. And we got some that kind of like dip into different stuff, like Apocalypse's range is exponential with like debuffs that he has, the immunity shrugging off stuff. So it kind of like having something that's mutant that can do like a stagger debuff or do something out of the realms of not commonly associated with mutants would be very interesting and fun.
Yeah, I mean, because the mutants, it's always like the big prowess, big special. So I don't know. Maybe Sauron doesn't fit in that, but I'm excited. I think people remember him. We've seen some people talking in the chat about '90s animated X-Men series, and that's where a lot of people know him from. He's a cool villain, and just visually gets them the chance to do something that they haven't done yet, and I think that's always great, because if there's one thing that this development team consistently does is put out beautiful champs.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about those two, but particularly Sauron.
Absolutely. Right, I think let's cover some 7 years in-game stuff.
Yes.
Beginning with the trade-in store. Now, have you had a look at this? Have you delved into? Have you swapped anything yet?
I have, and I have. The big one is yes, I have traded in for a 6-star Awakening gem.
Nice.
So I had 4 generic 5-star gems, and then I traded in my cosmic gems for the 5th, and then upgraded that to 6-star and got a tech gem.
I'm going for a run of bad luck at the moment with it, and I'm not too happy about it, to be honest. It's going to be the subject of a video.
What's going on?
Well, basically, I had 3 generic 5-star Awakening gems. I then went, okay, that's fine. I'll trade in some to I'll trade in some of the others. I kind of like got to as many generics as possible. And now I'm at a point where I'm on a 1 chance dance with trying to get the last generic.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit disappointed about it, but I'm going to make it the subject of a video because it's going to be called like, the like epic fail or kind of like epic win. I haven't really kind of decided. It depends how it goes. And it will be a case I'll either, because I've got one final 5-star Awakening gem to pop open, and if it's not a mutant or a mystic, I can't get the 6-star Awakening gem. So
yeah, that's a lot to miss out on. And I think probably the 6-star gem has been the most divisive issue in the store. Obviously, everyone wants one. I think there's people that use their 5-star gems for fun.
Yeah.
Over the last couple months, they're really kicking themselves. That are not happy, and I think we've seen some reaction to it, saying it's like, well, if we'd known you were going to do this, we would have hoarded these, and now we're going to hoard them all next year in hopes that you bring this back. And you told us not to hoard, but now you've set up a situation where we feel like we need to hoard. So that's it's always a double-edged sword
Yeah,
with this. But 5 generic gems is a lot.
it is.
That's a steep price. I think people are definitely feeling it. In my case, it was worth doing.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I get where that criticism is coming from.
Yeah, I might have to do a. And thank God I left my variant 800%ing. I've still got variant 1 to 100%, but I
Yeah.
probably need to assess the extent of grind to say, okay, am I doing variant 8 versus variant 1? I want to say I'll probably do variant 8. But that's my last chance. That's my final last chance dance, and that's going to be part of, again, the video narrative is just going like, right, upload tomorrow. Here's my last chance. I've got one shot to try and get a mystic or a mutant, which is a very difficult thing based on the odds. But if I get one of those two things, I can then get the 6-star Awakening Gem. If not, I have to, in, 5 days, because I won't be able to start until tomorrow, 5 days, get my variant 800%ed, which is definitely possible. It's just a case whether or not I've got other stuff on, impacts on other things that I've got work-wise. So I'd have to literally kind of like do that, and then I'm like,
hit the right crystal on the
again,
roll.
yeah, I'll go back to RNG again to get that, and I'll either be very, very deflated by the end of the week against the hard effort that I've done, or with jubilation that I've achieved something that I've only ever been able to get for a second time, and that is a 6-star Awakening Gem.
Yeah, I feel you. That is really playing the lottery there, Rich.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the store right now, and there's two things that I would change about it if I had control. One is there should be a T4CC selector in there.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That is so critical, especially as you get higher up. I think most people would be willing to trade in 2 or 3 full T4CC crystals for one selector.
Yeah.
Because we all hate when we just pop those and we don't get what we want, and then more is in an overflow, and we have to rank someone up just so they don't expire. The other thing is, especially with the Awakening Gems.
Yeah.
If you trade in a Science Awakening Gem for an Awakening Gem crystals, that Science Gem should not be in the pool of outcomes.
Yeah.
That just feels so bad.
Yeah.
Like they need to do something about that. Like I don't know. Like that I realize you don't want people to be able to pick, but if you're trading in a certain class, you shouldn't wind up with the same class after the spin, because it's just going to upset the players, and we don't need the players any more upset than they already are.
Yeah. Such a good point. Oh God, yeah. The trading stores, that's good. I think you're right. I think it's definitely got like things where it's just not ticking. It's ticking boxes in some ways.
Yeah.
I've got maybe like more crosses than I've got ticks and stuff. More so, tomorrow if I go right, well, I now go down to I definites with my Awakening Gems. Now I'm kind of like I'm now at the mercy of RNG about looking whether or not this trading store has been a success or a failure, and I'll only know that based on what's going to happen tomorrow for the video, or maybe further on in the week when I either decide to 100% variant 8 and go, oh, I've got another crystal, oh dear, it's not the 2 out of the what is it, like 6 that I need. I've done it right. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, the 6 I need. I could have 4 disappointments to 2 bits of success. That's not great odds. Odds are not in my favour there. So look out for that video on the channel tomorrow. Then subsequent video towards the end of the week, going like, oh my God, did I do it? Oh my God, did I not do it?
Yeah, I would say final piece of advice for people with the stores, like these stores are kind of designed for. How do I put this? Like what the pain points tell you what you're not ready for. Like if you're looking at it and saying, I couldn't possibly trade in 5 5-star Awakening Gems for 1 6-star crystal, like that's going to hurt too much. If that's what you're thinking, then you're probably not ready for that trade in, and that's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
Like that's really an end game trade in. It's all right if you're not ready for it. Like if you look at that and you be like, yeah, I don't care about these 5-star gems, whatever. Like then that trade's for you. If it hurts, don't do it, right,
Yeah,
Rich?
absolutely.
If it hurts, don't do it. And just kind of move on and it's a better state of mind to just say like this part's not for me, rather than kind of like forcing yourself to kind of jump ahead in your progression.
Or you could be future me in two different scenarios. Either it goes well or it hurts, which tomorrow it could hurt, and then on Friday it could hurt as well. So, yeah, don't take the hurt.
Yeah. So I think, kind of a mixed bag. We got, I got some good stuff out of it. I'm happy. Seems like you have your hands are kind of up in the air. You're waiting for RNGesus
Oh yeah,
to hopefully bring you home.
I'm RNG'd out of the wazoo at the moment, so
Yeah, you are.
roll
You
on
are,
tomorrow.
man.
We'll see what happens.
Well, let's get into let's get into it. Let's get into the gold incident from this week. I remember when we found out that they were not bringing back the gold boost, and they told us, and I put in CCP chat. I just said, "Good luck with that." They're like, no, we've got something that's better. I'm just like, I try to be. I feel like I'm one of the more positive people in the community. I try to be fair. I try to be positive, but like players love gold. Like the gold boost was always a winner.
Yeah.
I understand why they want to do away with a temporary gold boost. I don't think it has anything to do with hoarding. I think the issue is their game economics team keeps putting more gold in, which we all refuse to pop.
Yeah.
Right? So it's skewing stuff, right? Because they're looking at it, and the players have hundreds of gold crystals that they're unwilling to open. All right, so I guess it kind of has to do with hoarding, but not exactly, not in the hoarding of the gold crystals are screwing up the servers, right? So, all right, so we get to Friday, and this gold boost is going to go live. Now, this should have tipped us off when we saw that the gold boost would be approximately 30%, and we didn't question.
Well, it's the wording,
what
isn't
that
it?
was going to mean.
The wording.
That was some wording. Next time I see the word approximately in one of their posts, I am asking for follow up on that. We got to investigate that next time.
Yeah, because it's like the thing is with that, approximately to me is like, okay, well, approximately 30%. So it's around 30% for each kind of like gold crystal that's going to be opened. But like, we'll be permanently increasing the amount of gold in all gold and arena crystals. Means to me, right, it's going to go up. So players are going to see benefit. The same way that I would kind of go like, right, well, that's good for me because I get a lot of gold crystals. I hoard a lot of gold crystals for the gold boost. I would like to,
as did I.
As and I would like to have them kind of like open. So I've just opened up 16, and I've got 468,000 gold. I'm like, I'll be like, as of the 12th of December, happy days. I'm okay with that. But if it was a lot less than what it was going to be on Friday, I'd be like, damn, like this is annoying because like I'm always low on gold, and I would like to kind of not have to wait so long for the boost in order to get the benefit to then rank up champions. Because I'm forever wanting to rank up champions, but I just run out of gold. So I'd like to have more of a sustainable amount, and this seemed to be the answer.
Yep, and there was just way too much confusion, and I think this came from a good place. It clearly was not communicated correctly. So there was just way too much confusion, and this is one of those things like, if they had done what they intended to do with the first increase, like back in say October, like they said with the October update, they said like, hey guys, we're gonna improve the gold drops in these crystals. Everyone would be like, oh, that's fine, that's good, more gold, But if you do this in place of one of the most popular yearly events, then you're taking a big risk, and you've got the expectations right. People are used to seeing that symbol. Active in game. Your golden battleship boost is active. That reassures the players, or players were expecting a message.
Yes,
in game.
that's another point.
We didn't get the message, right?
No, exactly.
So I'm trying to monitor this thing, and it gets to 1 o'clock Eastern when this is going to go live, and I'm checking in, forums, checking in CCP chat. Is this live? Mike gets on the forums. He says it is live, and then you start seeing the screenshots, and people say, "Hey, like, there's no goal boost live, and it's still the same drops." Or I think like one of the crystals went from like a 2400 minimum to 2500 minimum. Some of them didn't increase at all. And we're like, well, what's this? The increase isn't live. And that was the story. And then we get the next follow-up. No, it is live. What we did was we increased the jackpot drops in the crystal. It wasn't an across-the-board increase. So if you open the crystals after 1 p.m. Eastern, you were opening them into this new world. There was more gold in the crystal, but they did not increase the floor, right?
Yeah.
So if you opened a bunch of them, you should on average get the magic approximately 30% more gold, right? If RNG was on your side. You could get more, you could get less, right? And that's when things really blew up. on the forums, and things went absolutely insane.
I think everybody was within their right to do so, and I think Kabam will still be into next week picking up the pieces from that whole scuff.
Yes, exactly. And this is one of those things where expectation did not meet reality. It was not communicated by the game team. I think the intentions were good, but I think this is one of those things where sometimes like a designer is too far removed from the community to understand that like you can't replace one of the most popular events that is a sure thing for players with an RNG solution and expect it to go well. Especially if you don't even communicate that that's what's happening.
I was looking at it just like, oh, like, this is too much for a Friday, really, when stuff like this happens.
It really was. I was as frustrated with the game as I've ever been. Not from anything that happened in the game, just from like I want the game to do well. I want for people to be happy. I want for people to enjoy the anniversary of the game, and getting more gold should be a win. And the fact that they managed to screw that up so badly, it was really, really frustrating. Like, they ended up getting to the point about 8 hours later where they did put I'm hesitant to use the word boost because it's not a boost in the way the players think of it. It's an increase in the crystals. They increased it that flat 30 percentage points, which was what we wanted, which takes RNG out of it, which no real winners and losers, and that's live now. It's safe to open the crystals, but the process to get there was way too stressful. Totally a self-inflicted wound on their part. It didn't need to happen.
There's a lot of stuff that Kabam do, and I kind of look at it in a sense of like when I managed the business before becoming a full-time like YouTuber, and the businesses that I managed. One thing that we tried to make sure that if we were doing anything that impacted customers, and like just a quick kind of FYI, the business we were doing is like it was serviced offices, so like businesses bought office space from us, and we had things like a canteen, we had like restaurant, and loads of different things within this big building that I managed. But anytime we had to make a decision of a change, whether or not it was like access to the building changes, it was new systems that we had to put in place, we'd a lot of time go like, right, well, we have to think about how this would impact our customers, how it would impact their customers, but mainly a case of like, if you're offering a service to somebody, you want to make sure that it's the best. And one thing that like the business I worked for prided ourselves on, or I prided myself and want to instill that within the company, was to make sure that all customers were happy. So we'd make sure we'd send out emails, we'd make sure to forewarn people about stuff that's coming. We also make sure that we did it in the safest manner possible. And the great thing about it is that people were happy to know that the communication was there, and they were happy to know that they knew what was happening within the building, they knew what happened in the ins and outs of it. And, we were able to sustain clients and customers because we did that above and beyond, which is like, that's that 2 weeks. That's you working with your customers at the same time. So
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
was
I mean, I really, this is one of those things where, uh, the CCP didn't know this was how it was going to go with the gold, beforehand with, say, version 1.0 of their increase. I really wish that we had been given a little bit more of a heads up and
yeah.
maybe could have could have helped with this. I think, maybe, or though on the flip side, maybe we just took them at their word a little bit too much and didn't ask the questions like we should have. And I know a lot of the stuff around the holidays, they're trying to keep it a surprise for everyone, which is good. And they want people to be surprised and happy. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff this week. I thought all the videos they released were really well done and were great and were exciting. I thought at least the Thronebreaker holiday or Thronebreaker anniversary calendar was great.
Yeah.
The holiday shard arenas are great, especially if you have the ability to grind the solo event. Just that's been awesome. But they shouldn't be taking big stressful L's on gold events during the anniversary celebration. That's what it comes down to.
Absolutely. And it's like, there's two things I want to just quickly talk about. The company time and like the amount of time that's wasted by Kabam on kind of dealing with situations like this is so sad, because you kind of feel that time. And I did, when I gave my feedback to Kabam about the Cavalier difficulty and the way that people reacted, and look, people are getting through the Cavalier difficulty. I completed it in a short space of time, but I wanted to create content to cover it. But the players aren't able to do it because it's one of these things where just a simple kind of, even asking players prior to making these changes or months in advance, what do you think about this, and this will come in the future, saves them a lot of company time without them having to deal with the angry responses from players, quite rightly so, as well as other stuff. And the secondary point about this is like, this is a time of hype, time of excitement, and it's kind of, we keep on talking about the idea of like, okay, Kabam take too many L's for small W's throughout a month of going like 2 videos, hype, and then it's like gold boost, L, and then it's like, right, and then we've got to look forward to the gifting event, hype, and then and W, and then it's like, well, if something happens with that, then we're back down to an L again. And it's like, it's too much L to W, down and up, down and up, down and up ratio.
Yeah, and they shouldn't be doing that, especially during November and December, which are normally the most hype months and do have a lot of really good stuff for players. And when you think of like sort of the headwinds of the game engine and all the problems over the last 6 months, and then you've got Seaton putting out that state of the game video, which I thought he made a lot of very rational, solid points in. Like, this is not what they needed going into 2022, because they only have so many big shots at like, anniversary, holidays, like MCU tie-ins. Like, they gotta, it's been a bumpy enough road already. They need to make this stuff count. So just, I really, really hope that like the 14-day holiday calendar is very nice, and that fingers crossed that gifting goes smoothly.
Yes.
And that there's not too much drama there. Like, I just want to have a good time. I want to do some Christmas events.
Yep, same man.
I want to give some people some greater gifting crystals. I want to get a 5-star Thanos.
Yep.
Like, let's just have some fun and chill out and grind some holiday shard arenas. And I just duped my 6-star Kingpin. I was feeling good about that. like just more of that, please.
Yeah.
So
one last thing about the gold boost is that for when me and Dan don't know anything more about this, but if you are looking for like any type of compensation, it's hard to know at the moment, because there's something Kabam Mika, he said that we will look at the gold payouts before and after the change early next week and determine if there was any action required. So we're still gonna have to wait and see if anybody feels like they've been shortchanged. I think it's probably the correct kind of like comparison. If you feel like you've been shortchanged, we've got to still kind of see what's going to happen with that. So if you want more gold because you feel like you haven't been kind of sorted out by Kabam, then we've got to wait until next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing is we got to see because they want to pull the numbers on the first increase versus the second increase to see if under the RNG scenario players were really missing out.
Yeah.
We will see. Do you want to do the Q&A stuff now?
Yeah, I think like we'll save Hawkeye for kind of when you've seen episode 4, and then we'll
Okay. Yeah, sounds good to me.
Right, so we've got a very special segment right now. If you are in the live chat, you can ask us any questions and we will answer them. So this is a special Q&A aspect of the podcast. So if you want to ask any questions in the live chat, we will now answer said questions. We'll also have a look at if anybody else has kind of like posted anything else that we can react to.
It looks like it's mostly football. It looks like they're drafting an MCOC fantasy American football team.
I've seen this, but
in the chat we've been hijacked by the MCOC NFL fans.
But we had the same thing from like what I refer to as football. Jeffrey, thank you, Jeffrey, for getting us on the track here, and also Smoother. Okay, so do you think they'll do Beta Ray build this year? I kind of feel like it would be a good month to have like the Butcher and Beta Ray Bill as kind of a month. What do you think?
I would love that. I would think Beta Ray Bill is in the top 10 for most requested champions. I see him a lot.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Side Quest 2.2 is still locked because that's what they said they were gonna do.
Yeah.
So Side Quest unlocks on the 15th. 2.2.
I felt it quite funny because there's someone on the forums that tagged me in about it, and it was like, you're quite clearly a subscriber to the channel, and I've already gone over. I think I did like 2 videos on it, saying like it opens on a weekly basis. The first chapter was opened just because of the weekly element that it is. So, but yeah, that's that.
Mm-hmm. Question about holiday gift cards. So this is the Christmas gift.
Yeah.
That we're gonna get on the 24th, and my understanding is you will have 48 hours to redeem this gift card for some sort of a
Keep up the good
reward.
work. I love your videos,
I'm expecting
Brotherfire.
that to be a tab in the
Thank you,
store,
Archingo.
but I don't know that that's been confirmed.
Yeah. Also, thanks to El Chingon for the super chat, and thank you for kind words. There was a question about kind of like, will we ever have a game where there will not be input drops or parry dex issues? Not until Kabam find I think we're at like a point where Sir Tapsalot on one hand is saying the data about inputs and stuff. On the second hand, it's like, well, players experience something that they haven't since May 2021, which was just like the game running in a smooth process, so to speak, when it comes to like taps. I get dropped inputs a lot more.
Yeah.
And it's not nice. And this is like a 2021 iPad that I've got in my hand right now, which I use now. Gift for anniversary. Well, this is one of these situations where I think I'm going to have to change my coverage of certain things. Like, if I do a video and say, oh, something we got last year, don't expect it to happen this year.
Right.
Because we've had anniversary gifts for the last 6 years that I know of. Well, no, 5 years I definitely know of. Not quite sure about 6 years. And then saying like, right, well, if Kabam do something for 6 years, they're not doing it for 7 years. The same way I'd probably say if Kabam do something for 7 years, they might not do it for an 8th year. So I'm going to have to be very careful about how I cover stuff.
And I think they look at it in a different way than we do. Like we might look at it as like a 1-for-1 thing, where they look at it as the basket of stuff that happens on that day.
Yeah.
And like, they could have just said like, oh, like just roll it into the holiday calendar, or roll it into the anniversary calendar, or something like that, and you're getting it anyway. But it doesn't look to players like that. So I would not. I mean, if we were going to get an anniversary thing other than the title, we would have already gotten it. Ghost Dog has a great question. Do you think there will be a state of the game address from Kabam? I mean, I think they're going to do one eventually. I don't think we're going to get one before the end of the year.
Well, Kabam Mike said that in November that we'd see one for December. So I don't know if they plan to do something.
Maybe we will.
Yeah, if they put
I would bet that it is largely tied up with how the development of the new game engine is going,
yeah,
and
that's
that
a
they
good
don't
point.
want to say anything until they've got a really solid timeline with that game engine.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, 3 quick questions I want to kind of quickly bash out. Wish Crystal, that's still something we don't know about, but look out for that potential state of the game address. Dev Diary, I think it's going to be more of Dev
Dev
Diary.
Diary, yeah.
Gift, no, I've done that one. Why is Karina not the 7.4 boss? I think, as somebody pointed out, it may be to the storyline that it's not kind of, she's more friendly with the champions, but there is that twist back a while ago that we thought like Entropy is having. There's a lot of things that Kabam put in stories that they don't really come back to, like Entropy.
Right.
Last year's anniversary video had was it, what is it called? I can't remember his name. It's the Kang, it's the other Kang.
Immortus.
Was it Immortus? I thought it was somebody else. It was like Starboy or something.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, and the dinosaur. So it's like,
Yes.
it's been a year, we haven't, like, what's going on with that? That's
Oh,
weird.
yeah, Devil Dinosaur. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
Also, yeah, I do think that the Greater Gifting Crystal will be buffed slightly, just by like a smidge on certain things, because the game has moved forward. My question is, more or less, how many units would we need to spend on gifting to complete the solo aspect of it above 3k units? Hard to say, because Kabam have said they were gonna keep it in line, I think, with last year's, but they may change something. So wait 20th
It's probably going to be in that 3,000 to 4,000 unit range.
Yeah.
To hit all the milestones. I mean, I would say if you've got 4,000 units, you should be safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
And usually there's a lot of units in the milestone.
Yeah.
So that helps. This is a
Iron
good one
Lad,
from
that's it. Iron Lad.
Iron
That was
Lad.
one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Young Avenger. Oh,
Yeah.
Good question from Rob C. Who are the other champs you see in the top 10 requested champs? Do you have any preferences? I think Bullseye is usually in that top 10. I think he'd be awesome. Sandman, I see a lot.
Adam Warlock has crept in a little bit.
Adam Warlock gets brought up a lot. I think you're going to have to wait for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 for Adam Warlock.
Yeah.
For X-Men, I see Polaris gets brought up a lot. I would love to see her. I think a lot of the Spider-Man villains get brought up. There's a lot of love for those guys. Obviously, we just got Kraven, so I think that's a big one that just came off the list.
Yeah, cool. Right, I think that's a good point to kind of like end the podcast, and we've covered a lot. Dan, what are you up to next week?
Next week I am working my butt off, trying to get through this run of holiday shows. It is the most wonderful time of year. We are so glad that live entertainment is back and the theaters are open. But it's a lot of shows, a lot of shows going on sale, and it is a sprint to Christmas. So I am working my butt off for another week, and then I get pretty much the whole week of Christmas off as I recover and have a little more time. Hopefully we can do some end of the year recap stuff, and that's probably when I'm going to be playing a lot of MCOC. But it's pretty much work, sleep, wake up, eat, work, repeat for the next 7 or 8 days.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm kind of like behind schedule because I got ill towards the start of last week, which kind of like it just messed up everything that I had planned. So I'm going to try and have a good week next week, work hard but not so hard, so I can then work my butt off for the following week, so week starting the 20th. But yeah, like it's just a case of like all my jobs that I wanted to do have been derailed, like all the guides I was going to do, Act 6, Act 5, and new player stuff, and go back to my new alt account. So hopefully I can get back to that next week. So that's been it. That's been the podcast. Thanks everybody for listening. Make sure to catch us on the relevant different types of things like YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iTunes podcast. We'll see you next time for episode 81, or the Christmas editions. And thanks everybody. Find Dan in the links in the bios. See you soon. Bye-bye. There we go, everybody. We're out with the podcast. That's been great. Thanks for everybody that's come by this evening. Dan, as always, been a pleasure.
It was a lot of fun. I love doing these live episodes, and it's great for. Looks like we had over 200 people.
That was nice.
In here just hanging out, and it was just awesome to get to talk to everyone and get my gold boost rant off my chest, because I've been bottling that up for the last 72 hours, Rich.
Yeah, I think they had a good...
I know we're going to talk about it, and it was just building up.
Yeah, I think there was a great point about the idea of look, we've gone from a definite with the boost to a RNG with an RNG element with a crystal. So having from one state of affairs to the other, but even worse when the RNG element is not performing to what the expectation of the player is
And the players couldn't even see it.
No, exactly.
It's not like when they changed the Cavalier drop rates and you could see the drop rates. Players had no way to know.
Yeah.
If you were waiting for visual confirmation in game, there was none.
Yeah, exactly.
So people were upset.
Yeah.
So.
Not good.
Yep.
Right, I'm gonna go get some dinner now, and I'll catch you later on, Dan.
All right, Rich, you have a good day.
Yep.
Glad you're feeling better and your voice held up. I was worried for you when I saw you. When I saw that video yesterday of you going to get your haircut, I was like, "Ooh, he's a little banged up."
Yeah.
I don't know. And then you're like, "I got to talk to Dan," and then I didn't hear from you. I was like, he might be hurting. I don't know.
Yeah, it was kind of I was like, oh, God. As soon as it had the haircut, Em's had her hair dyed and stuff. We kind of felt a bit more kind of confident in ourselves. But it's just, I feel better today. I slept for the first time in about a week. I've slept, so that was one thing. We don't have a kid, so it's a case of going right. Well, I have to kind of have a warm salt kind of gargle in the throat. I have some cough syrup and a drink and a fruit lozenge before I go to bed in order to sleep. And we got the humidifier on as well at the same time. So processing to get stuff.
You were doing the full treatment there.
Yeah, but the thing is, if I can't speak for a living, which is the job, I don't make any money. I don't make any money. I don't pay bills. It's the worst thing to go. I'd rather have a stuffy nose, or I break a leg. I shouldn't say that. Than have a sore throat. So it's worst case scenario to happen. That. Anyway, right. I'll catch you later on.
All right,
Cheers,
too,
Dan.
Rich. Have a good day.
All right, bye. And bye, chat. Thanks very much for dropping on by, and I'll see you all next week. Much love. I'll be back with full strength. So bye-bye, and thank you very much for the